I mean, anytime you are taking someone else's content, some of the case study prep questions, as we get further down the road, I've had individuals who, not in this class, I'm just saying over time, where you might be tempted to just copy and paste some, you find the answer on the internet, or you find the answer in an article that you're reading, and you just want to copy and paste. No, you need to rephrase that, reframe it into your own words, because that's just not how that's not good practice. I mean, you wouldn't allow it with your students, and that's not what we're going to allow here. So please kind of keep that in mind. I want you to write your own thoughts. I want you to express to me what you know, not a copy and paste. Remember, as I said this during the orientation several times, our overall goal is to develop the skills and the knowledge, content knowledge, plus some ability here to relay this information to your students, to tell them about it. So what we're going to do in the case study is this. I have really some simple ideas here for success. And that is, when the case study opens, it's not open just yet, but at some point next week, I believe we'll probably be opening these documents for you to review. And there are 5 parts to the case, 5 pieces of information for you to read. And there's 3 pieces of information for you to turn in. Everything is explicitly explained in several documents, and if you just read through the instructions, we should be fine. I recommend when you start this process that you download, if you're able to download and print the pieces that are in that assignment, so that you always have them available for reference, because you kind of need to work between multiple parts here. I mentioned that you'll have 5 pieces to use, 3 of them get turned in. You're going to get a very detailed instructions about how to proceed. Follow them. Read the instructions. Follow the steps. I have them numbered. Go back, check your work, make sure you haven't missed anything. The scenario that is provided is just it's a study of a family. It's very simple. It's a story. I don't even want to call it a study anymore. We're going to call this a case story. But it's a story of a family, and all they want is some assistance. They need some help figuring out better ways to do things. We are going to help them with that. This is not going to require you to use outside resources. You do not need to be, you're not trying to be a financial planner. What we're trying to do is read, it's like word problems in math. At least that's what it used to be called when I was in school. You're reading the situation and you want to respond to it. Everything that you need to know is within the contents or in the confines of this class or in the scenario. You don't need to bring in extra help or extra materials to work there. Read the scenario. As you're going through it, if it says, the Millers, the family's called the Millers, if they need to know, they want some suggestions on what kind of insurance to buy, highlight it so you know that it's coming. If they need some better recommendations for tracking their spending, highlight that. Everything that they want, you want to make sure that you're reading and pulling out, because that's going to wind up in your report. There is going to be a balance sheet, and I'm going to pop over and really show you very quickly. It's very simple. Can y'all see this one now, Julie? Thumbs up. Or
yes.
Okay. All right. So I provide to you a balance sheet. Almost everything in it is given. All you need to do, and this is explicitly laid out in the instructions, is you read the case study. You look at the starting values. Is there something you need to do? Yes, you need to do some math right here. Assets minus liabilities, and come up with a number. And you put it aside. You're going to work on your the rest of the pieces of the puzzle. When it's all said and done and finished, you're going to look at your recommendations. You're going to look at the results of the recommendations, and you're going to come back and fill in the things that you did differently, and you're going to calculate a result. This could potentially be different for each of you. There's no one right answer. Remember, at the very beginning, we talked about personal finance is personal. The only thing I'm looking for is that what you're telling someone to do makes sense. Meaning, if someone just for an example, if someone makes $40,000 a year and you're suggesting that they save $100,000 a year, that doesn't make sense. So that can't be right. It has to just make sense within the confines of the example. One of the other things that you'll look at and you'll have provided to you is a budget sheet, because we talked about the importance of budgeting. So one of the assignments is to go through the scenario and help the Millers figure out what they're spending. I provide you with this. You see, there's a lot of blanks. There's some question marks, because where items appear blank or question marks, you'll probably have to put in a value based on what you find in the scenario or what your recommendations are. All we're doing is taking the numbers that you come up with, whatever you're recommending them do, and apply it here. So what you see, you might need to do some basic math. For example, this first column is an annual value, and what we're looking at is a monthly value. So you would just basically take this value here, divide it by 12, and put it here. And then later on, after you've done your analysis and changes, then you might have a revision. Fill in the blanks. It's quite easy. Just read it and follow the instructions. One thing that is really important is when I have these items here with some fixed values, I'm telling you this now, when you read the instructions, it's there. I'm just trying to give you a little heads up. I'm not asking you to get rid of things. For example, we're not going to say, oh, I'm looking at this, and one of the expenses that's pretty big is, let's see what I'm looking at right now. Childcare. Well, we're not going to decide to get rid of childcare. That's not what we do. We're not doing that. And if you look on the budget sheet here, I show you, look, childcare is staying, the value is already there. You don't need to change it. If the value is provided, leave it alone, just incorporate it into your message or into your calculations as you make other adjustments. The blanks, this is where you're going to be making adjustments. Okay. So step by step, look at your scenario, look at the budget sheet. You're going to play with the numbers. You're going to explain to me what you're doing. And when all is said and done, you'll recalculate this. You'll go to the balance sheet, plug in the numbers that you have changed, and have a new calculation. It's not going to be the same for everybody. It just has to make sense. I also provide you a report template. Look at this. It's very simple. I tell you exactly what this thing has to look like. You will have access to this document here. It's called the report template. You put this title on the top. It says your name, you type your name. It says your school, tell me what school you're in. And then these are all the sections that you have to cover. You'll have to have content in each of these sections. If you are not providing any recommendations on saving and investing based on the scenario, that's a problem. It's on here. You need to provide something. And look at this. I tell you exactly what to provide. For example, under the objective, it says, these are the instructions. In this section, state what you were asked to do. So you look at the scenario, what were you asked to do? Write it there. Explain briefly what what you were trying to accomplish in your recommendations, and just lay it out. Tell me what you're doing. Under financial goals, the instructions in this section list the financial goals of the family as stated in the scenario. Arrange their goals as short-term, mid-term, long-term. So you explain what the family's goals are based on what was in the scenario. You arrange them in short, mid, and long-term, and you're done on that section. And you just keep going down. Please, this is instructions, so take out the instructions on your actual document. So you'll have this information. It's going to make your life a whole lot easier. Just kind of follow along with all the parts as we go. I'm going to also bring up the actual scenario, because this is important, or in the instructions. Let me change my view here. I want this to be a one page, and I want it to be big. Okay. Here's your instructions. It tells you what you're doing. It's the purpose of the case study, that you're just looking at a fictional family situation and you're going to make recommendations to help them improve their situation. That's what you're trying to do. It tells you here the family's provided you with an overview of some of the things that they're currently doing. And it also will tell you in the story that, well, maybe they don't know how to do this, or maybe they haven't been tracking their spending, and you're going to help them do these things. Right here, your objective is to give the family sound advice. You're going to help them revise their budget. You're going to recommend specific actions to what you're trying to do is lower their costs and improve their ability to save for the future, protect their assets, and have fun. We do not scratch off all the fun. That's not realistic in the real world. You have to be able to function and do other things besides just pay bills. So if the family is going on a vacation, they're going to continue to go on the vacation. You will not cancel it. You will figure out how to work around it. And that's why we have the case study prep questions, because those are laying the groundwork for the same kind of activities that you're going to do here in the bigger picture. One thing that's important, again, this you will have. You absolutely will have these documents so that you can print them, read them, write on them, think about them. But I want to say it right now. When you're looking at this scenario, the important thing to remember, I said it a little bit earlier, I'm going to say it again, we're staying within the confines of the story provided. We are not making radical changes. Think about it if it was you and someone came into your house and all of a sudden decided to tell you to get rid of everything you did for fun and, you know, change jobs and change your kids' school. That's not what we're trying to accomplish. We're trying to live within the confines of this family. And I note this kind of thing here. The family does not have an income problem. They have a spending problem. So you don't have to worry about trying to find them new jobs. We're not going to put the kids to work. We're not taking the kids out of school. We're not changing schools. We're not changing any of their plans for activities. We are just learning and teaching them how to manage these things better, because they have money. They're just not using it correctly, or they're not using it to their best benefit. So what we're doing here is you're providing advice and direction, and this is important. You are not expected to be a tax professional, an investment advisor, or an insurance expert. Based on what we learn in this particular class, you're going to be making recommendations. For example, maybe they don't have car insurance and they need to have some car insurance, and you've done a prep question about benefits of car insurance. So maybe you can put in here what you might recommend they do. Okay, you don't have to know all the pieces of car insurance. You just have to do some general stuff here, but possibly put a number to it. Like we said before, stay within the confines of the scenario. Follow the instructions. You'll see I have numbered items left, right, all around. And then when you're finally finished everything on your end, you go back and check it. You make sure your name's on everything and you submit it. Okay. When you submit, you're submitting 3 things: case study, your updated balance sheet, and your updated budget. Remember, like everything else, it's not a one-time shot. The way I deal with case studies, very much like the case study prep questions. And so some of you got back responses, like I might have asked a question, hey, can you, you missed part 2, or can you explain that one a little bit more? Some people got no commentary because they gave me a perfectly acceptable answer, and it went on. So don't fret. It's not a one-time shot. As I read through your document, if I'm noticing something that needs an adjustment, if it's a major problem, you will get it back immediately and say this needs to be redone. Major problems means you didn't do any of the things that were asked. You didn't turn in all the parts, and you kind of just hop, skipped, and jumped and wrote a couple of phrases here and there and let it. That's not acceptable. Everything is going to be done in we're going to write complete sentences. We're going to write paragraphs. We're going to address all the content that is being asked for and is provided. Right here under the grading, it says, remember, you have to have an 80% on this case study in order to pass the class, just like every other assignment. No assignment in this course, including the case study, is optional. They all have to be completed. And what you're graded on is following directions, inclusion of all the content, and the economic soundness of what you're telling someone to do. There's also going to be, there's a very explicit rubric in that assignment. So you can, what I would do is look at the rubric, and it will help you formulate your work. It'll say, okay, well, if I haven't done, if the rubric's telling me that I can get all, top points for having, sound recommendations, I've touched on all the parts, I've done this, that, and the other. That's what you want to use as a guide as well. Use to your benefit whatever's being provided to lay this out, because honestly, if you are looking at your directions, you're looking at that format sheet that I provide you, and if under each category you don't have something, you haven't reviewed those sections, it's not acceptable. But if you do them all and go through that case study with the highlighter and make sure you haven't missed anything, you're going to be successful. I want to mention that last year, for the very first time, and so I want to see this again, but last year, for the very first time, we had 100% of the students in the course finished it, passed it, and 100% of the people completed their case studies with a passing grade. So it's very possible. It's not something that I really want you to fret about. As I said, the documents will be open for you to start reading probably sometime next week. I don't want you to rush through this. Once they are opened, please feel free to go ahead and start looking at them. But I don't want these things turned in right now. You should not be turning in a case study until everything else, until the modules prior are at least done, at least all the case study prep questions and so forth are done, because you're going to be shorting yourself and doing yourself an injustice if you try to rush through this. So I just wanted to, sometimes giving you too much information up front can be scary, and sometimes it's helpful. I hope this is helpful in that there's a lot of instruction. There's a lot of stuff to help you through this. And when we start working on the case studies, you'll have an opportunity. I'll be giving you some additional contact methods for me. So if you have questions, we can work it out and get you through it. This is the way that we see you demonstrate the work that you've gone through. Questions? Okay.
Could you go over, now their work must be turned in by July the 10th. Does that mean after July the 10th, you will or will not give them additional help on getting it up to par?
I'm sorry, Jeanette, I'm not understanding. Your sound's a little bit breaking up. You're asking me something about July the 10th?
July the 10th, can you hear me okay?
Okay, yeah, all right.
Okay, on July the 10th, all work is required to be turned in.
Correct.
Does that mean the complete finished case study on July the 10th?
That means the case study is completed and turned into me. That does not mean it's necessarily finished, but I will be grading and so forth and contacting you once it's turned in. You're not really finished the case study until the grade is finalized. One thing I recommend is, and want to make sure I didn't misstate. Once you are at a point in your progress where it is appropriate for you to do your case study. You've done enough of the content. You feel comfortable with it. You've gone through it. You think you got it done. You can turn it in earlier. I don't want them this week. That's why you're not having access to them. I don't want them next week. As soon as they do start coming in, I will begin grading them. I'm not going to hold off until the end. But it's to your benefit to just take your time early on and give yourself enough time to say, okay, I'm going to turn it in so that she can come back and ask for things. And then you want to have yourself enough time to respond. When we get down to the 10th of July, I can tell you my questions are going to be, it's a one-time response. And if you wind up having a lot of questions, you're going to be in a really short time to get that done. Because once the last day of the course, which is the 12th, happens, and when that day is done, I'm not going to be going back and forth with you. If you wait until the 12th to turn something in, you're going to have a one-time shot. That's it. You won't get opportunities to make revisions or answer follow-up questions. Is that answer what you were asking, Jeanette?
Yes, it
Okay.
does. And also as a reminder, you know, Julie, Claire, and I are not sitting here all day long waiting for your assignment. Like I know Julie often works early in the morning and she's doing something else. I usually check in the morning, but if you have turned in something at 1 o'clock, don't be surprised if it's not graded today, because you know we just do it at least as often as we can, but we're not sitting here for an immediate response.
Right. I just want to add that too. I can guarantee you, for those of you who are waiting on me, I'll apologize to you for that, but I want to tell you that now that this week is done,
No,
work will get graded
sit on the
much
bed.
more quickly. Because I just had big workshops and lots of webinars today, and so we've just been cranking through. But now I'll have some free and clear time to keep up. Any other questions? Put them in the chat, please.
That's the only ones we have in the chat right now.
I have to say that for the majority of the ones that I've been, for everything that I've read so far, most folks are doing very well with the case study prep questions. Actually, all of them have been done and answered back. If you've turned in a case study prep question and you haven't gotten a complete grade yet, or you have a grade that's below an 80%. One other thing I want to mention is sometimes I have to just, the first time I read something, if I'm going to do a follow-up question, just keep this in mind. Just keep this in the back of your head. In order for me to be able to have you do that follow-up question, you're going to have to get a grade that's lower than the requirement. So if I give you like a grade of a 20 or something, and I'm asking you questions, don't freak out about it. Just answer the questions that I'm asking so that I can come back and regrade. Once you answer what I need you to answer, I'll regrade the assignment. So it's just kind of a process point that the first time I graded, it has to be, if there's a question, it's going to have to be lower than the required number so that I can get that answer. And sometimes, one other thing, when we get to the case studies, sometimes I'll have, when I do have questions about those, you're going to get those emailed. I will email those questions to you through Canvas, and you won't have to redo the case study. You'll just answer me in the email, and I attach it and go on and so forth through that way.
Now I have another question, Julie.
Yeah.
Could you speak to when will they be notified? I mean, maybe this won't happen to anybody, but if somebody is going to be dropped from the class, they have until tomorrow night to finish everything up to module 3. But when will they be notified your class.
When will they be notified if they get dropped from the class?
Correct.
I think Allie will probably be in the office on Monday. So my guess would probably be Monday.
Okay, so as a reminder, you don't want to be dropped because they're going to charge you $250. Is that right, Julie?
Yes, that is correct.
So even if you have to do nothing this whole night and tomorrow and up until tomorrow night, maybe you don't even have time to eat. Remember, you're saving $250. Get finished.
I do want to remind everyone, if you want to review, I saw Derek just entered, he was a little bit late and he said, is there anything I need to know? This is a good time to remind you that these touch point things are recorded. And while they might not be compelling viewing, they are being recorded and we'll be able to have a link for that access. So if you need to go back and refresh your memory on something, it'll be there. And like I said before, you'll have plenty of written instructions and plenty of opportunity to ask us questions as we move through this process.
Okay, we have a question that says there's not specific deadlines, but is there a suggested pacing completing the modules? That's why we have tomorrow night as a pacing guide for you. And then after that, there's not, the course doesn't last that long. July the 10th. Do you know tomorrow is going to be June the 14th for this period of time? So just after this cutoff date, you're kind of on your own.
Well, and another way to think about it too is look at your schedule now. I know some teachers will start back. You might start having responsibilities for getting ready to go back to school. You might have vacation coming up. If we're at the halfway point and you're not halfway done, you're gonna be. We're not at the halfway point now, but when we're at the halfway point, you should at least be halfway done. Some modules move a lot quicker than others, and I would suggest go through as you can. I don't want to say rush, but, and that's not, I'm not telling you to rush, but I'm just saying is don't take a slow stroll. And that was what we're trying to accomplish. What we have, like, get started, get this rolling, because if something comes up, maybe you get sick, maybe you got to do something with the kids, maybe you got to do something for your job, whatever, it's not going to impede you any. And that's what we're trying to do. Plus, as you progress, do a little bit every day is what I'm thinking. Do as much as you can every day, address it. And then that way we can keep up with you and everybody moves through at a good rate.
I think in the first meeting, we said that there's 75 hours of work time that's estimated. So for the time period of this class, you need to do a little bit every day. Don't wait until July the 8th to finish up a bunch of stuff.
And I will just say this, please do not put it off because it's too much work to get done in like 3 days, especially with Claire's case study. You've got to have time to work on that. So be diligent and just keep working on it. Like Jeanette said, a little bit every day and you'll be fine.
Yeah, that is the key. And we're telling you these things not to really sound negative, because I know when I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, oh my God, we really sound horrible. But over the many years that we've done this, these are the things that have tripped up students along the way. And I hope that, if you look at your personal schedule and keep in mind, maybe do some basic math. If you got so many 75 hours, how do we spread it out? How do we, get this work done like Jeanette said, like Julie said, a little bit every day, and you'll be done. You'll be fine.
So just think you are going to be so prepared to teach personal finance. So this course that you're taking is really wonderful to prepare you to do a class. Well, Julie, I
Yeah.
don't see any more questions.
I don't either. I do want to just say, I know I had a couple of people, I had a couple of people come in late, and if you will email me in Canvas, I will catch you up on what we went over. Now, Claire had some notes that she went over, so if you missed the part on the case study, I will need you to get with Claire.
Well, oh, we have the recording.
We have the recording, yeah, and
Go
we'll
back and
make
listen
that
to it.
available.
Mhm.
Okay, now there is a comment that you're going to have to explain to me. It says 5 bottles of water greater than a diamond. Okay, I think that's over my head.
Oh, that's one of the discussion questions.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
Okay, everybody. And remember, email us, email us, email us. And we're pretty good about getting back to you.
And did we answer David's question? We did say that tomorrow night, midnight is when the
Yes.
first 2 modules. Okay.
mhm.
Yes, that was answered.
Excuse me. So is it the first 2 modules or the first 3 modules? Because
Up
Two.
to,
first 2. Okay.
up to module 3. Everything before module 3.
Oh, so module 1, 2, and then module B.
Yes.
Okay.
Julie, I think I'm through.
Okay. I'm just answering somebody who gave me a direct message real quick, and then that's what we have for you this evening. Again, reach out if you have any questions, and we'll be glad to get you to who you need to get with. We'll take care of you.
Thank you very much. And is this Thursday? Yeah, it's Thursday. Have a good evening.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. I'm gonna have to look up this 5 bottles of water is greater than a diamond.
Tierney, are you still there?
She must not be.
No.
Brittany, are you there? And Jamisa.
And Jamisa and Brittany.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jamisa Taylor. I am still here. I was
Oh.
emailing you all. I'm sorry. I'm on my way from Savannah, Georgia, the Beta Convention. So
Oh.
I was emailing you all to request a copy of the Zoom because I forgot the time
Okay.
changes
Hey,
this way.
Jamisa, I want to apologize. I forgot to start it right off the bat. So, it's going to be cut off, but I will put you down that you need a copy of it and I will get you what I got.
Okay, thank you so very much.
And if
You
there's
be
something,
careful
new,
driving.
we can touch base and catch you up.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you
So
so
you're
very
driving,
much.
so you're driving from Savannah?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a
Yes,
long ways. That's a long ways.
it is, especially where I live.
Mhm.
It's about 8.5, 9 hours.
Mm,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Yes,
long ways.
definitely will fly the next time.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
right.
I will get that to you. I will get with you, dear.
Okay, thank you all so very much.
Thank
Drive
you.
Bye-bye.
safe.
Bye, Teresa. Bye, Brittany. Bye, Tierney.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Claire. Bye,
All right,
Julie.
I'm gonna
I
sign
will
off.
see y'all later.
All righty, bye-bye.